our channel. Welcome to Nature Preserve Life. I'm Thane. Judy, unfortunately, is a little over an hour behind me back at the Amarillo house. I took off well before sunrise to make it out to Mountain Air. We got some fun chores to do. The big one is getting into town with our 200 and some gallon tote and get it filled up with a nice clean water for the hot tub and test the hot water situation out. See if we can really, if everything's working fine still and everything's wired up right and so forth. Anyway, if you're returning, welcome back. And anyway, I still got a long drive in front of me. The sun just came up a little while ago. You can kind of see the sunrise out to the south and east behind me. Anyway, I'm running in some knotty part of the I-40 freeway road here. Once you get into New Mexico, the quality of the freeway drops considerably. Texas, we notice, maintains the roads a little better. Not perfect, but overall, general sense, a little more sense of responsibility about taking care of the roads. Anyway, hopefully we'll be at the house in about another 3 hours. And I'm going to also mention here it's mid-January. I have a 3-day weekend, so it's along with some nice weather back at the house. It's supposed to be a high of like 51, so it should make things good for testing out the hot tub. So that's why we're taking this trip, or at least I'm taking this trip this weekend, so I got time to work on things if I need to. Good morning. Trying another little effort here to run a cable to the hot tub underneath the house from the garage, from the main panel. One of the challenges I have is this wall behind me. Looks like it's about 3 sections thick, so it's hard to know just where I'm going to poke through to the bottom plate of the framing to get into the crawl space that's underneath the house here behind this wall. I'm hopeful, as I'll show you, that it's on this first layer of wall here, because the wiring, a lot of it I've seen underneath the house, from the main panel area appears to be coming through a bottom plate that's, I hope, right here. So what I'm going to do is cut a little opening here that I'll be able to block with one of these pieces. I'm not sure how big of an opening I'm going to make. I'll start with a smaller one, but I need to be able to get access to the crawl space from here and be able to run the wiring up and into the panel from the side here. There's a opening. It's probably hard to see here, but there's a big opening that I put the camera down there before. I've seen it's kind of hollow in here, you know, bottom plate down there in the framing. But like I say, when I punched for the hot water line here, I ran these 2 new wires here. Well, that's a total of 4. The neutral, the 2 hots, and the ground. Ran it through here and snaked it through here, tied it in down nice and tight there, and then capped off the other end for eventually hooking up to a new water heater in the future with some wire nuts, just in case this accidentally gets thrown, the breaker, and the wires become hot. A little safety there. Anyway, I'm going to try to cut in here and see what we find. I'm hoping I don't have to go through the second wall and hopefully not the third wall. You can just see how thick this wall is in here. Probably best to see it from above here. You got about 5 inches, 5 inches, and another 5 inches. So it's a very thick wall system. And of course, that's the wire I pulled through yesterday, and it's tied off with those wire nuts for eventually replacing this propane hot water heater. So let's get to it. Let's see what I find. My hope is to take one of these long drill bits, whatever, and poke through the bottom plate of the framing and hopefully see it underneath the house poking through from this first wall layer. But we'll see what we find here. Okay, we're making a little progress here. We got a little square cut for the sheetrock, but then like I expected, there was no way to go through the base plate here on the first layer of framing to get the wire directly dropped into the crawl space below on that side of the garage here and the electrical panel. But what I was able to do is the following. I'll flip over and try to show. So what we got here, got this big hole here, which I'd prefer to use one of the little smaller guys and do a proper clamp down here, which would be proper code, of course. We'll see if I can do that and get down to the cavity that's to the left here that I've opened up. Anyway, this is constructed with this foam sandwich between the layers here and a lot of the construction. I drilled a very careful exploratory hole first to make sure this comes out where I wanted it to. And then I kept drilling a new one, a lot bigger, to be able to pull the cable through. And what I got was over here underneath the water heater, there's a board with like 12 screws on it. I moved it over here out of the way for now, and I was able to confirm that about 2 feet over, of course, underneath here, there's the holes that I've been punching through, and then I cut a big hole here with a little lead coat hanger here, so hopefully I can see it underneath the house. The idea being that I'll be able to get under there and push like the first 10 feet up through this hole, kind of park it here for a little bit until I feel like I'm up to going crawling underneath here and shoving the rest of that 10 feet section up to the panel and pulling it through. But right now we got to go have some fun underneath the house and try to find that coat hanger and spread out the 90 or 100 foot spool of wire I've got. It's number 6, I believe. Yeah, number 6, which is easily for a 50 foot or 50 amp breaker for this distance that we're running out to the hot tub in the backyard. I know I've also forgot to mention for those that are interested, this is our main 200 amp panel where service comes in from down here, ties into the return and the ground. Main ground is over there. And what you'll see here is a secondary panel over here. This is for what the, I guess what you call the emergency breakers that you want and circuits you want in your house to be on when the generator's running. There is a little flip switch right here. I'll try to zoom up and give you a better view of it all. So what we got here, this is like the toggle switch here. If I move it to the left here, it would be on generator mode, which this is the 2 feeds, 240 coming in from the generator outside. I think it's around 16,000 watts or so. And of course, neutral in the ground for it. And these are the primary things for like keeping your refrigerator running, being able to cook, have some basic lights, I think. Anyway, it goes back through here and goes through all this little wonderful mess and then down underneath the crawl space of the house and to their respective rooms and locations they go to. But this is for like monitoring the generators, a little more advanced stuff than I've worked with before. I've just had little cheap plugins that I've built before to be able to keep most services up and running in a smaller house once. But anyway, this is kind of the auxiliary sub panel for most of the things in the house that are the most important. Be able to operate the boiler for heat, things like that. I know it goes to the refrigerator and a few other critical outlets for running the pump to pressurize the water and the RO system, stuff like that. Okay, I got to pull through here. Actually, it kind of comes through the floor. I think I was kind of showing earlier, right through there. And then it snakes on the other side of the door here. up behind this little panel. I put to kind of protect stuff from behind the sheetrock. Then I snaked it up through here. And now I'm just starting to cut things the right size and start getting them punched down into the panel. We're going to go with this other dual pole 40 amp that should do the trick, because the hot tub only pulls about 30 to 33 amps when it's running with all the jets and the blowers and the elements heating the water and all that. So it should never trip this, but keep my fingers crossed. Otherwise I'll have to upgrade it to a 50 amp, which I'd rather not do. So before I put this panel cover door back on, just wanted to show you what I ended up doing here. We have, this is the cable I was pulling through, 6 is the size, and you can see the white one back here. That's the neutral, comes up into the neutral bar right there. And then the ground is the copper. It's kind of harder to see here, but it goes all the way up to here and is in the grounding bar right there. And then the two hot ones, which are all off right now, is the black and the red from down here. And they just get screwed into this breaker here. And we're going to try to do it with 40 amps and see how well it works. Anyway, I just wanted to show you where I'm at. Also downstairs, I'm going to put the cover back on, just 6 screws. And we're not going to turn it on until we get a load of water in it. But at least I can show you how I pulled the wire underneath the house here in the crawl space. You may not have a crawl space. If you're on a slab, you probably have to go up in your attic. Hopefully you got an attic to pull it through, in which case, instead of going down like I did, you'll be, of course, going up this way to your ceiling and up into your attic crawl space area and then bringing it through. Now, if you don't have either a slab or, a crawl space or a attic area, then you'll probably end up having to pull it outside the house, strapping it up through some conduit and bring it to your shut-off switch you'll have for your hot tub, which I'll show you in a moment after I show you how I pulled it through and stapled it in my crawl space. Anyway, let me give you a quick tour showing you how I ran in my crawl space. There's the light. Anyway, this crawl space, I can bend over and walk on 2 feet for probably half this area. When I get further back down here, towards the back to where the garage and the main 200 amp panel is, where the cable's hooked up, it gets pretty small and tight. I have to go down on all 4s, but it's not a bad one. I had probably 3.5, maybe 4 feet back there to crawl around on. I've had one house where it was more like 2 feet and you're just scraping your belly moving around trying to find places to run things. Anyway, this isn't a bad crawl space. It's definitely not the best I've had, but what I'll show you, hopefully you can see this, like here's a good example. I just staple them, the cable here into the floor joist all the way back. I don't hit every floor joist. I might come back later and try to pound it all nice and tight on each one. I was just trying to get it up fairly quick, fairly stable, and then run it out to the shut-off box outside near the hot tub. Okay, this is the backyard, hot tub here, and the shut-off, the external shut-off here. Code in our area says has to be at least 10 feet away from the hot tub, which the conduit and the wires run up into the shut-off here. I'll show you the wiring in just a moment. Let's switch over. So up close, here's the GFIC breaker. It's got a test button. It's a 50 amp, and this is the wire from the conduit here coming up from the hot tub. The 2 hots, neutral, and a little copper ground there. They go to this The ground goes to this grounding bar, kind of where I'm pointing back in here. And then there's a neutral bar up here that the GFIC has a little pigtail connected to it. But that's where the neutral from the house, I'm going to hook up here in a moment and be done. And the other neutral goes into the breaker's neutral here. It's kind of a center right there. Can't really see it too well, but that's how these things are wired up. The two from the house, from the breaker panel in the house, go up here where I'm pointing. They get wired up here, and the ones going to the hot tub, like I was saying, are wired up. The two hots are wired up to the breaker here, that then go through the conduit to the hot tub. Anyway, I hope this is kind of clear. Just a reminder, I'm not an electrician, but I'm a big believer in every homeowner understanding this stuff and be able to do the work themselves, whether it's electrical, plumbing, framing, sheetrock, whatever. You need to know how to do this if you're a homeowner. Take care of your furnace, whatever. All these systems that are part of the house, you got to take care of be able to take care of yourself, or you'll be paying through the nose for a very, very long time to other people to take care of it for you. And I'll point out too, the cable comes from the shutoff to a snake through the inside of the hot tub here. The access panel right here is where I had to hook up the 4 wires, and it was real clearly marked. So if you end up doing something like this, don't be too intimidated, because it is well marked and documented these days. It clearly shows the 2 hot lines, the neutral and the grounding bar, and just takes a few minutes to get them hooked up. Okay, I made it. Got the tote in the truck. It holds like 275 gallons or so, but I think I only need about 200, maybe 225, not a full load. And of course, getting these into the truck, you just put the tailgate down, lift them up at an angle, and then from the other side, on the back side of it, just lift it the rest of the way and scoot it into the bed of the truck. They're pretty lightweight. Probably 40 pounds, maybe 50 when they're empty. So they're not too hard to get up when you're leveraging them. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get down to town and see if I can get the water we need, and then we'll start filling that hot tub. Okay, to fill this up right, you got to get it nice and straight underneath this chute here. If you don't, if it's angled, it vibrates and comes flying out. So since I'm here by myself, I got to be real careful. But it looks like sun's in my eyes pretty bad. There's our little valve for turning it on and off. Someone's labeled it right correctly now. Anyway, I'm going to try to open it up a little more. See if we can fill it faster. Hopefully it won't go crazy. Okay, you can see the water levels right coming here. We need to go up to here. That should be 275 or 225 gallons. So when we left last time, we were kind of in a hurry, and I kind of left the 2 neutral wires incomplete, but I just finished it now while the water is filling in the hot tub here. It's being pumped from the tote up above, and I'll show that in a minute. But just real quick, I'll show this up close. These are the 2 neutrals. The one from the hot tub here going down through the conduit would go into the middle of the neutral connection here, and then of course the 2 hots on the coming up from the hot tub go into the breaker itself too. And then the piggyback little tail here, which is for the GFIC, that's also came already on the little neutral bar here. And then the neutral from the panel goes right here underneath the house and into the neutral bar. And of course way back here, you could probably barely see the two coppers go on that little grounding bar there. And that's pretty much it. Conduit, you can see it goes buried under there, comes up. There'll be a deck over this area. You can see where one of the posts will go. And we'll run that up to the master bedroom entrance there. Just to give you an idea, the hose is coming down here and inside the hot tub. I've already added a little the sterilizer, the bleach. Need to hurry up and get this running so I can clean the water a little bit. And make sure the hose is still running here. Yep, that's a good sign. Try to stir some of the little chemicals up here. They kind of, I don't know if you can see it through the water or not. They kind of make a home in the seats here instead of spraying around like they should. But once we get the pumps going and circulating the water through the filter system, it'll clean a lot of this up. And whatever it doesn't clean, I've got a little little net scoop to get that cleaned up. Anyway, that's it for the electrical. Once we test it and everything looks good, I'll put the little plate over here, secure it down with the little screw, and call it a day. So this is a little mess we got back here. We're just forcing it with a little pump out. I would have thought it would be working well enough with a gravity feed. I have another hose I was tempted to use. That's a 1.5 inch pool drain hose and use gravity without the pump here. But doing it by yourself is could get a little crazy and messy. If I had another set of hands, I'd probably have done the 1.5 inch. I'll show that in a second. Okay, I just pulled this off the shelf in the garage here, the Pool Master. It's a 1.5 inch by 200 foot backwash hose. You can Google these, find them for sale on the internet or Amazon easily enough. And they just screw on with the clamp, kind of all reeled up like a fire hose. And this is kind of what they look like up close. And they'll open up, I'm sure, to the full 1.5 inches. Anyway, in the future that'd go a lot faster, but I think I need another set of hands to do it that way. So we're doing it the slower way, pumping it down there. I think with gravity feed, this little guy would have filled that hot tub up in probably 10 minutes or something. And with the pump, it's probably going to take closer to an hour. Okay, so I put the cover plate back on and also flip the breaker up here as well as in the garage and the main panel. And put that back in place. There's a little spot to put a lock so children, whatever, don't tamper with it. You hear that little hum in there? Yeah, that's a real good thing happening here. See, we've got water circulating and filtering and cleaning up, and boy do I smell a bit of chlorine in there. I think I put a little too much. I'll have to adjust. But yeah, that's a real good sign too. The temperature was 48 a little moment ago when I started this up. And now it's up to 49. Now I've set it to, what have I set it to? Yeah. Let's get it up. Come on, low temperature. Okay. I believe, go to here, to heat mode, temperature, let's go to high. Hopefully you can see what I'm seeing here. Now I can probably hopefully get it. Like 103 is like my favorite. Now I should flip back to what the thermometer says. Anyway, things are, this Catalina Spa, filters over here. It's really a nice unit. I'm glad it still works. Wasn't sure after that move whether it would or not. The guys were pretty gentle with it, but, and then plus, of course, me rolling it down here and Judy trying to get it actually to this little slab we built. But anyway, it looks promising. I'll check on it a little later. Oops. Okay, got the Bluetooth streaming on the music set up and tested. That works. I just got to get the Wi-Fi unit connected to the house so we can remotely connect to it and control it and adjust it and all that. So that's kind of the next thing. It is getting up to 50 degrees now, so I got still a long ways to go to get to 103, but hopefully tonight I can grab a glass of wine and get out to the hot tub and watch the night stars until it gets a little colder, I'm afraid. Okay, it has been accomplished. Hot tub is running, and it's a nice cool evening. I think it was 38 when I checked the thermometer earlier, right before coming out. And the important thing is the water temperature in the hot tub is not quite the 103 I set it to earlier, but it's still very nice, comfortable, 99 degrees, and I'm sure it'll get to 103 pretty soon here as I'm relaxing out under the, I don't want to say quite stars, some haze clouds, thin clouds up above me. But anyway, I'm going to try to gaze up there a little better and hopefully see some stars through the clouds. Maybe they'll thin before the evening's over. Cheers. Okay, so after a second night this weekend of enjoying the hot tub, thought I'd just show you the last step here after killing the power on the breaker over there. Is I got to unscrew this little guy here and drain the tub. So it started. It's like 9:30 p.m. tonight. I'll be out in the morning before I head back to Amarillo and make sure this is really fully drained, because it's still getting well below freezing these nights, and probably plenty more before we return for another visit. So I'm leaving the house now, and even though you can see a little snow behind me and snow up the driveway here, a little snow in the mountains behind me, most of the driveway is pretty clear. But I'll just also point out, unlike that nasty cold front we had coming through Amarillo last week, where I saw the thermometer get down to 2 degrees while I was trying to commute to work, here in Mountain Air, it's like this morning it's got to be in the high 30s or something. It's pretty mild. You can see I'm just wearing my sweatshirt and some jeans here, and don't need my jacket really. It's pretty comfortable. And I'm sure the truck will warm up pretty quick too. Anyway, let me flip around and we're going to get in the truck and say goodbye to the property.